Hi everyone, and welcome to my roundup of the last few days of the Ghost Recon Breakpoint Open Beta. In this video I'll be talking about the good, the bad and the ugly if any exists, and make sure you hang around till the end for my opinion on who might enjoy it if they bought it and whether or not I will be buying the game. During the beta I have played PvE both solo and grouped, 4v4, PvP and Ghost Wars, and tried to get as much of a flavour for the game as I could in 3 days and with a limited section of content and time, since I have real life commitments so I couldn't spend the entire weekend on my PC. There was more than enough content to explore in the 3 days, but there seems to be a lot more to come on launch day when they open up more of the map. To give context to the quality and smoothness of the visuals I experienced, it's only fair that I give the spec of the review machine so you can compare and contrast with what you might get with a different spec rig. It's rocking a Ryzen 7 2700X with no overclock, 16GB of RAM, a Samsung 861TB SSD, and an 8GB Asus ROG Strix GeForce RTX 2070, again with stock clock speed. If your rig is lower spec than this, then the visuals might need to be turned down a notch or two to get good frame rates. So on to the good. The game world. The world size. If there were no vehicles, this would take real life hours just to get across the map, let alone doing missions on the way. It is huge, and again this is just a section of it. The world visuals. This game is really pretty. The terrain and the vegetation is done. It's an amazing and varied scenery and terrain. The avatar moves well through it, really seems to move through it rather than float over it like it does in some other games I've played. Also, the vegetation isn't just for pretties, it's actually useful, helps you in cover and concealment. One of my personal favourites, the stealth. Oh my god, the stealth. It creates so much tension when you hear the sound which indicates you're about to be spotted. You suddenly find yourself trying to find a way of just dropping to the floor and hiding. For those of you that like lots of vehicles, there are many different vehicles to try in this, mostly variations on different themes, but yeah, you can fly helicopters, aeroplanes, although I did have difficulty taking off in the aeroplane, mainly because it was stuck in a jungle. The cutscenes have good lip syncing and the facial animations work well, so you don't get that bizarre sort of just horrible plasticky look on the faces. In terms of your opponents, they're not bullet sponges. If you hit them in the head, they're going to go down. Some of them have got sort of heavy armour, but you shoot them once to destroy the armour and then another time to shoot them in the head. Skill trees for individual specialisations are really good. I enjoyed this aspect of it. It's almost RPG-like in its progression. So on top of the 4 basic classes you've got, there's lots and lots of options. The combat is good. It's sometimes frantic, sometimes measured. This doesn't appear to be a game where running in, shooting with all guns blazing will work very often. I'm not saying it won't, I'm just saying it won't work very often, in my experience. The drones and helicopters passing overhead really add to the tension. The second you hear that notification, you start to really try and find somewhere to hide and keep out of sight. Finding other players to co-op with is easy. That's a very simple part of the interface. There are tutorials in most menus and screens which cover most of what you need, but they did leave me wanting a little bit of extra, so I was kind of hoping for a manual or a really good FAQ. Occasionally I alt-tabbed out to find an answer on the internet. The 4v4 PvP was a lot of fun, though it did make me realise how bad I am at PvP. Gear levelling seems to work well so that you never really feel like you're completely outclassed just because of another player having better gear and fat loots than you have. If they kill you, it's because you were unlucky or they're better than you. So that was the good, and now for the bad. Or maybe the not so good. I don't think any of it's particularly bad. The missions user interface. The method for picking them up and pinning them doesn't seem intuitive. I spent a lot of time trying to work out how to pick up missions, where to find them on the map, whether they were gear level appropriate. With more playing time, I'm sure this will become second nature, but it isn't MMO-like, nor is it as simple as, say, the Division 2. So it didn't seem that obvious to me at first. It's also hard to find a way to reorder the pinned missions. Again, I'm sure there probably is a way, but I'm just saying I just didn't find it within the period of the beta. The PvP class progression. This is an unusual one. I didn't think I'd be saying this. It's not massively clear how to rank up in a given PvP class. For example, I spent a few hours trying to level up my medic, only to find out that there are requirements for each class to level. Again, like the missions interface, this isn't too obvious or intuitive. I found that I needed to be using an SMG or a shotgun, but for some reason I had no way to equip them even when I made sure I had them in my inventory. I'm sure there is, but it eluded me for the period that I was playing. I had been playing my main PvE character as a sharpshooter, so this leveled up without me realising how. But maybe that means you can't play a medic on that particular avatar and need to make a new one. I just didn't feel it was clear enough. The enemy AI, sometimes good, sometimes bad. I would prefer their circle of awareness to be a little wider for a more PvE challenge. You can be pretty much driving almost right up to a bunch of bad guys and then get off your motorbike and attack them without them actually noticing until you actually start shooting. I didn't see anything game breaking, but often they only really won fights because of the numbers, not because of their skill. NPC characters you meet in real world locations, they seem lacking in interaction. Often they just do nothing when you appear and don't have any intel missions or any other purpose. Of course, this may be content which didn't make it into the beta, so we'll wait and see. For example, others that you might meet will cower or shout "don't shoot," so it makes me think that the ones without it are somehow broken, or it's just supposed to be that way, which kind of sucks. It just breaks the immersion a little bit. Maybe the character should be a little bit less invincible. It would be really good fun if there was a hardcore mode in future. That's not really a bad, that's just a comment. Something which bugs a lot of people about the gaming industry these days, there's too many editions of the game, and it makes making the best purchase choice for you as an individual quite confusing. So, yeah, that's it for the bad, really. I didn't find anything massively bad. And finally, onto the ugly. Well, this probably won't surprise you based on what I've said in previous videos and so far in this one, but actually, I didn't find anything that ugly. I didn't find anything that made me think that this game is utterly broken. So, yeah, that's a good thing. And now my opinion on who I feel that the game would appeal to. I think the game is going to appeal to anyone who likes a good third or first person shooter where they aren't playing an indestructible tank and actually have to play carefully, plan and use stealth. It reminded me a little of the Metal Gear Solid games, where there are several ways to crack a nut when it comes to each mission. I think it's less likely to appeal to those who love Call of Duty's frantic small map PvP action, because it's not really a twitchy run and gun type game, even in the PvE. Of course there's going to be exceptions to that, and I think it will appeal to quite a wide variety of people. But yeah, hardcore Fortniters or Call of Duty players, particularly on the PvP side, this might not be your bag. However, if you get a chance to try it, I would recommend it. It's definitely worth giving it a go just to see if it's something that you like. Thanks for sticking around if you've got this far in the video. Now the big reveal. Will I be buying it based on what I've seen in the beta? The answer to this is definitely maybe. I find myself more drawn to strategy games these days, so it isn't so much my niche, but I do enjoy some good first or third person stealth shooter action. I'll enjoy the PvP side, but will not be getting into it too seriously. Rather than buying it outright, since there are several versions and I balk at buying special editions because I disagree with this particularly vile sort of money grab, I'll be subscribing to Uplay Plus for a month to try it out on there. Once I have a month of playtime, I'll be able to make an informed choice on whether I actually buy the game. From what I've seen so far, this might be the shooter that takes me away from Division 2. Or maybe they'll complement each other because of the different styles. Who knows? I hope you found this review useful, and I hope it's given you some information that you can use before you actually shell out some real life money on this game. As always, if you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. Either way, please leave me some feedback in the comment section below. And as always, if you could like and subscribe, that'd be fantastic because it really helps me grow the channel. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you on another video.